And then, we got a couple minutes before our actual start time, but how many of you are in here, honestly, like, no, not using this stuff yet, not applying it in my day-to-day?
Don't have a clue. You can talk about quantum physics, be the same thing.
Okay, great. And then how many of you are deep and wide into the deal? Okay, marketing for sure, and then some middle ground. Okay. Well, these are always a little interesting presentations because there usually is a lot of diverse positions, and then there's various levels of exposures and comfort level with the technology. So maybe we'll jump in. Everything's set. I got this guy. Well, good morning. My name is Conor Smith. I am a CEO of an IT and cybersecurity firm out of Montana, and I have been deeply immersed in AI for the last 3 years, not as some creator or inventor, but just as a user across a lot of different aspects, both personally and professionally. So hopefully we can relate to one another as users today, and we won't get too deep in the weeds in terms of technology and all those kinds of components. First question is just a bit of a philosophical question. And it's a really, really important philosophical question as humanity begins to embrace more and more of this technology. And the question is this: who or whom are you ultimately accountable to? Who or whom are you ultimately accountable to? Think about that question for yourself. May have a spiritual take associated with that. Maybe thinking about your family, or your spouse, or your coworkers, or your employer. There'll be a lot of different facets to that very basic question: who or whom are you ultimately accountable to? Most of us have some thought about AI and some level of concern about AI. For those of us that have been around a while, you probably had that same thought, around the internet when that came along, and social media when that came along. Ultimately, we all want technology to serve us, not the other way around. At the end of this presentation, there's going to be a QR code that you can scan. And in that QR code, there's a document that you can download that's going to give you a couple of different things. That's very helpful to you if you lead a department or you lead an organization. And those things are basically the 7 expectations that you should be setting for yourself and for your organization as a leader. The 3 priorities in 2025 that you should be setting that keep it simple. 3 basic things that everybody can do to just get your foothold within AI. And then the last component is I think there's 11 things that I think leaders need to really do, and great leaders are doing really well in this kind of modern AI technology. And they have nothing to do with technology. They just have to do with being good humans. For those of you that just entered the room, the 11th component of that is really being focused on who are you ultimately accountable to. With every single major technology, if we don't have our priorities straight, this is going back to Adam and Eve, right? If we don't ultimately look and see how are we going to use this to serve the things that we care about, it will go wrong. So keep that in mind, all of the different things that are out there. Come on in, folks. if you have that center, you will use AI for good. Watch his neck as this cycles through. Ew. That's the right reaction. So all the images in here are created by AI. I did not need to use the marketing department, right, to do that. So the marketing folks, right, it's like, ooh, is that good, is that bad? I'm going to talk a little bit about how I collaborated with AI in this presentation, but I'm also going to talk about how I collaborated with humans in this presentation, just in the creation of it. I've got 45 minutes today to talk through this topic. And so, on that notion, I don't want to do it autonomously. I would like to do it collaboratively. And since we're credit unions, and I know you guys are all about community, we're going to do it collaboratively, correct? We're going to do it collaboratively, correct? Yes. Or your neck gets twisted in funky ways, and that will be you. All right, another philosophical question. Collaboratively, anybody want to read that one off the t-shirt?
Technology is who I already am.
Loud and proud, thank you. Okay. What do you guys think? Yes. As a yes. Let's see some.
Where's the maybe?
Who's the hard nose? Anybody?
It's the hard maybe.
Hard maybe. Okay. What sets us apart from other species? Who's boring the heck out of this room and has two opposable thumbs? This guy. Right? It's not just opposable thumbs, okay? But humans have been using technology, adapting technology. That's a huge part, of what sets us apart from other species. Who likes to make improvements? I mean, just think about like when you were a little kid, right? Improve your room, right? And you see your kids go through those phases. Like I got a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, and all of a sudden their rooms are wildly different than they were growing up, right? And they make improvements. And then what do we do once we make an improvement? We like to improve on that improvement, okay? It's almost a disease that we have, right? It's like can't be content, gotta make an improvement, gotta make another improvement. It's in us. Next question. Are we an enduring technology? There we go, probably not. Okay? The movies, right, would say, there's going to be the end of the world unless Superman or whomever, comes along and saves us. Can we be thought about as technology?
Do computation.
Okay. This guy's deep thinking. Okay. Can we be upgraded? Who exercised this morning? Man. Good for you. Good for you. She's going to endure. The rest of you. Oh, no. Okay. Who went to school? Right? Do we learn? Do we adapt when we share knowledge and ideas? Right? Well, the last couple of days, hopefully there's been some adaptation going on, some new thinking. Do we change our habits? Science, like new neural pathways, things get opened up. Do you know people that you really feel are upgraders? Doing a lot of upgrading in themselves, right? New skills, new habits, new this, new that. And again, it's in us. And to me, which I think is good news for everybody, I really do believe that we are the ultimate enduring technology. Anybody want to read that question?
To improve or not to improve?
That is the question.
It's always a good.
Every day, right? That's a choice, right? At your credit union, in your community, in your family, it's a choice. And it's really a question at every level. But for those C-level, there's a CEO over there, why is it more important or more impactful, not more important, within your organization to address that question through example?
Don't remain stagnant.
Right? Don't want yourself or the organization remaining stagnant. What else? Right. It's just that growth mindset. The question I think most people are having right now is do I improve with AI? And what does that look like? So, quick show of hands, how many are improving with AI or have been? Okay, so maybe about 25% of the room, maybe a little more. A few years ago, I put it to our executive team like this. Every day we gotta go to work, right? Let's say we're digging a hole, and we're doing it with a spoon. Suddenly the shovel comes along. I give you the shovel. You think, well, this feels like cheating, right? I'm used to doing it this way. I like doing it this way. Use the damn shovel. Okay? This is a spoon shovel moment that everybody in the room needs to recognize, is that there is a major upgrade that will help you dig a hole. Whatever that hole is, whether it's in marketing or teller services or as an executive, and we'll get more into that. But at every single position that exists within this room, there is a shovel available. Are you going to improve with the damn shovel or not? Lots of words on the screen, but just a quick recap, because we have to have our mindset straight going into the rest of this presentation. Humans are inherently technological. They're an enduring technology, always evolving, adapting, improving. They use and create technology, not just to improve, but then to improve on those improvements. Within your credit union, from frontline staff to senior leadership, you must actively choose improvements. Think about that decision two ways, strategically, and then think about it in terms of daily tasks. Finally, we must commit not to just autonomous improvement, but to collaborative improvement. This should happen with humans leveraging their capabilities and intelligence. It should also happen with AI using its capabilities and intelligence. All right, AI workshop. Does anybody guess what the first lesson is? See who figured it out. Comment?
No comment.
Okay, anybody? in generating this image, AI put in Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. Okay? I didn't tell it to do that, it just did it. Okay? So first lesson is who's ultimately accountable for the work? If you use this technology and it puts out ad information that maybe is a legal liability or a financial liability, right? Or an HR issue, or whatever it might be, who's ultimately accountable? You are. Your organization is. Okay? You don't get to blame the AI or the technology that you used. So you really have to, when you're collaborating with this technology, you really have to make sure that you're slowing down, you're recognizing maybe it can help with X percentage of the workload, but we are ultimately accountable for the work that it produces and the outputs. And those have to be accurate and representational of good work and what you're trying to do. So, who's ultimately accountable? We are. Okay? If you're thinking, well, if I'm the one responsible, and maybe it's not safe, maybe it's not reliable, or at least not 100% safe and 100% reliable, maybe I should just wait till it is. And there's a lot of people doing that right now. Any show of hands in that front? No. Okay. Do you drive? Do you fly? Did you get married? Okay. None of those things are 100% safe or 100% reliable. Call your spouse, tell them you love them. Okay. Same characteristics, different perspectives. Who are the big credit unions in Minnesota? What's it?
Wings, Blaze,
Wings, Blaze?
Ideal.
What's that?
Affinity.
Affinity? Okay. Who's a small credit union? Okay, what's yours?
North Star.
Okay, all right. Both organizations have CEOs? Okay. So what percentage of time do you think the Blaze CEO spends doing, managing, strategic thinking, leading? Which one do you think they spend most of their time in? Okay, and then what about North Star CEO?
Jen, can you answer that, please?
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, all hats are worn by both, okay? But one is gonna spend more time in one area just by the size and scope and perspective of their organization, okay? Ultimately though, as you think about your managers, your directors, your executives, they're also doing some percentage of all three, okay? And again, same characteristics, just different perspectives. What I want to help you with today is understanding how generative AI can help on all three fronts. So one thing, and this is very important for businesses, organizations of all types. We as business leaders, right, You need something practical, okay? And it's like, if we're gonna do anything, you know, a new reporting engine or whatever it is, it's like, well, what impact is it gonna have? What's the return on the investment? Or as you start to think about AI, think about it, what's the return on the improvement? This conference is called Accelerate. How many credit unions in here need improvements? Everybody's hand should go up. How many need to accelerate those improvements? World's getting faster, right? So, yeah, we all need it, but how do we quantify that? So when you look at this, it's like, well, choose an activity, and then what's the workload and what's the frequency? Okay? What's the time investment? What's the cost per hour? How much time do we think AI can save? What's the return on the improvement? And then what's the best result if you decide to improve? Some stuff we know in our world, like, just we don't need to keep doing this, right? That's part of making improvement. Some of it we can delegate, some of it we can automate, but a lot of what you're gonna see with generative AI is augmenting what you're doing. And then what's the worst result if you're the enduring technology? Okay. If we all had the magic button to hit the robot, right, that could do the dishes and do the laundry and mow the lawn and do all of those types of things, doesn't take much time to figure out how does this calculator work. Okay? So let's talk about a doing thing. As an example, preparing board reports. Okay? So, workload frequency, 12 times per year. Time investments, again, I don't do this, but guessing, you'll see a lot of here, I keep my math simple. 4 hours per occurrence. Cost per hour, $100 an hour. It's a nice well-compensated CEO. Time AI could save, 75%. So the return on improvement would be $3,600 saved annually, 12 times 4 times 100 times 75%. Simple enough to follow? So practically within your organization, if somebody wants to make an improvement with AI, leverage a simple table like this to say, well, what do we think we could do with that? Okay? And remember, people love to make improvements, and then they love to make improvements on improvements. And you've got all of these people doing all of this work, and if the light simply comes on about how I can save time of the doing things with some basic skill sets, it can go very, very quickly in terms of the improvements that they can make. How many people over the last couple of years have been growing in assets but not growing at the same rate as employees, is used to, right? Technology is enabling those things. Questions on this at all? How would you do that? Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar, generative AI has an interface. You can go to a web browser. How many of you are on Microsoft 365? Okay, so what is called Copilot Chat is now available to you at no additional cost, okay, within that. But at the end of the day, you're looking at an interface similar to a Google search, right? And you can upload files to it, okay? Not some, dissimilar interface or technology that you're unfamiliar with or that is intimidating, okay? But when you think about the tool, think about it like it needs a data set. A data set sounds really technical, but it's like, I'm gonna upload some sample documents. There's your data set. It needs some context, okay? Hi, I'm Connor. I'm presenting today. I'm meeting with credit unions, right? It's a diverse audience, okay? Give it context like you would just chatting with a normal person. Okay, what am I trying to do? I'm the CEO, I've got a board meeting coming up, I work for a credit union, right? Here's a sample of previous board reports. Here's the source documents that I commonly use, right? Just telling you, okay? Does everybody feel comfortable doing that? Like it was a human? If you had your assistant, hey, this is the documents, right? This is the output that I need. These are the source ones. Let me tell you what I need. Then please go do it. Does everybody feel comfortable with that? It's really very conversational, okay? Examples, create the custom GPT prompt. Okay, again, fancy words, but at the end of the day, ask it what you'd like it to do. Okay? Give instruction. Hey, based on these documents, would you create my board report following the format and structure provided in the historical report? No different than if you were telling an assistant or a manager to help. Run it. It'll instantly generate an output. Should you stop, review, and improve the output before it goes to the board? Why? Because you are ultimately accountable. Every time. Okay? Finalize, share. And the nice thing is, you can give it feedback. Hey, next time you do this, could you work on this, this, and this? And it learns. And it will do it better next time. Okay? Is that a decent doing example that has a return on the improvement? I don't know if we really took the board out of board reports, right? But we took some time out of it. And we took some stress out of it. And then what can I do with that time? How can I lead? How can I strategize? How can I coach somebody? And this is the human stuff, right, that ultimately creates value. Let's do a managing example. Okay, same thing, we need an ROI, right? So how many of you have direct reports? Okay, so maybe you do an employee review 2 times a year. Maybe there's 5 hours of work with that. Some work before, some work during, some follow-up work. Cost per hour, again, keeping my math easy, $100. Time AI could save, 65%. ROI, $650. But that, again, is just the very tangible component of it. It doesn't show what you did with that time back. Best result, if you decide to improve, you've automated and augmented, maximizing managerial efficiency, consistency, and quality, significantly enhancing employee engagement and performance outcomes. Does anybody follow like an employee review framework, like from a HR standard or a book or anything along those lines, like 555s from EOS or any of those? Or does your organization say, look, this is the structure, these are how this needs to be conducted? Okay. So for those of you that are following some sort of nationally recommended thing, AI already knows about that. It's already read the book. It's already watched all the YouTubes. It's already digested all of the content online about it. It's an expert in it. So you don't have to explain what a 555 is to AI. It intimately knows more about it than you do and hasn't forgotten any of what it's learned. So you just have to say, hey, I do 555s, it knows, and There you go, no additional explanation required. How? Provide the GPT with the employee's job description. Okay? If you don't have the job description, use the GPT to create one, right? Be nice to give the person some clarity on here's what we expect. Maybe you had the employee perform a self-assessment before. Give it that. Recent performance metrics. Prior review notes. I have people I've worked with for 20 years. That's a big data set. Generate your review outline. What structure do you work in? Ask it to put it together. Again, do you want to stop once it's produced? Or do you want to sit down, read it, digest it, massage it, improve it, personalize it? But if you spent your 20% of the time doing that versus all of the inputs, getting it created, etc., how do you think that review's going to go? You could record the meeting, get the transcript. So now the follow-up is just, please give me a follow-up. Here's the standard format I'd like to follow up in. Change it, massage it, there you go. Concise summary of key points discussed, clear documented action items, follow-up communication. Get follow-up out, saves everybody time, improves communication, clarity, faster. How many of you do a review and then it's like 2 weeks later, all right, I finally caught up, I'm gonna get you that written feedback, and then, oh, what did we talk about, and, you know, what did we agree on, and who's gonna do what? It's like, then 20 minutes after the meeting, done. So much loving. Let's go back to that. Is anybody's mind thinking about other ways to make that better? Anybody already thinking about improvements about what I just shared?
I have a question. So the performance software that we use, okay, so we built that, configured it with the company, set everything in there, and we've been using it for maybe 5 years. But it actually does like pay scales based on position, geography,
Sure.
takes everything in. So is what you're saying, can you take that one step farther and get all that information?
Yeah, you could screenshot it, right? Because AI can read the image, right? You could copy paste data out of that in, feed it that way. It just needs a data set. And again, it's trying to help you do what you need to do, but you have to give it the data set, okay? There are rapid evolutions, and we'll talk a little bit about this, about how you can hook AI into those platforms. And believe you me, within 3 years, if your software platforms are not tied into your AI platform, your software platform is going to get displaced within the market, because people don't want to be screenshotting and copying and pasting to get this stuff done. They want to hit the button because we want to improve on our improvements. So today, copy paste, screenshot. 18 months from now, market's going to shift radically. Okay? How many of you do disc profiling or Myers-Briggs or any of those personality tests? So if you give AI those personalities results, yours and the employees, it's going to say, well, consider speaking to them this way, engaging in conflict this way, praising them this way, right? Very useful tool. to help frame your mind about, oh, yeah, this person's got some different traits from me, and here's how we can better communicate. Strategic. A little different here when you look at return on improvements. Your current outcome, your projected outcome, the value per outcome improvement, total strategic ROI. Same questions. Current outcome. So strategic activity, member retention improvement. How many of you are focused on that? Okay. Your current outcome, 90%. Your projected outcome, 95%. There's $100,000 per 1% improvement. I have no idea if this is correct. Again, I'm not a credit union CEO, right, or CFO. Total strategic ROI value, 500,000. Best result if you decide to improve. Worst result if you choose not to improve. Not so much a time factor, cost factor. So let's walk through this. Provide data sets. Again, I'm back to data sets. What are our organization's current strategic objectives and KPIs or OKRs or whatever it is that you use? What are our relevant metrics and performance data? What are our recent organizational challenges and successes? And then talk to it about members, right? Who are your members? Why do they leave? Give it as much context as possible. Who are your competitors? Why did they move there? Right? Just like you were talking to a strategic market share consultant. Okay? Give it as much context as possible. And then this is something people don't think about that I really want you to take away. Again, the more context it has, the better job it's going to do. Just like if you're working with a team member, the more context they have, the better they understand, the more helpful they can be. It's not rocket science. So ask it to interview you one question at a time to give it more context. And be prepared. You might be having a conversation for 20, 25 minutes while it's trying to gain more context about your challenge and how it can help. You can do this driving home. Okay? There's apps, Copilot apps, GPT apps, Claude apps. You hit the record button, you talk to it like you're talking to anybody else, it talks back to you, right? And then when you get home, all the written output is there, the whole conversation. Okay? Prompt it to interview you to get more context. When you start to get into strategic things, they're more complicated, they're multifaceted, there's many different variables. The more context you can give it, the more it can help you. Now, once you've got a bunch of context and some data, give it a role. Please act as a strategic marketing consultant for credit unions. Okay? It has read books on said subject. So you really need to think about this, again, as a collaborator. Just like you collaborate with really smart people strategically, you can collaborate with really smart artificial intelligence collaboratively just by giving it a role. Go through the whole thing, create a concise strategic summary, clear plan of action. Now, if the strategy stinks, whose fault is it? Who's accountable? You are, right? So ultimately, it's just a tool to help you with strategy, to help you with strategic thinking, but you have to make the decisions. You have to decide what's important, etc. How are we doing on time, anybody? 2 seconds, we got about 8 minutes left, I think. Is that right, John?
Yep.
Okay.
So are you seeing that I could take all of these slides, ask AI to summarize them, and go back to my office, meet with my staff, and in 5 minutes, I can give them the summary that you're taking 45 minutes.
Yeah, or the transcript, right? Ultimately, it's just a data set. Yeah, you're connecting the dots. Okay. As you look at those different pictures, what gives you pause? What gives you concern? What gives you optimism? Gives you more smart people to collaborate with. How many has everybody on their team that they'd love to have? None of us. But for $20 a month, you suddenly get a force multiplier. And if you just keep that for yourself, which I've seen people do, I don't want everybody to know I've got a shovel. Keep digging with spoons, fools. Right? But now you give everybody a shovel. Okay? Thank you. Other things?
I worry a little bit about the security.
Yeah, should.
How much information are you truly giving it? You want it to help you.
Absolutely.
If you do a board report, you're giving it too much, now it's out there.
Right. So as you look at the different technology platforms, right, you're going to have to make, especially in your industry, a regulated industry with lots of sensitive data, you're going to have to make decisions about that are purely based off of, is this stuck within my environment? Is this training the AI out there for other people, right? So Microsoft 365 Copilot has all of those governance controls that keep your data, okay? ChatGPT, not so much. Claude has a tremendous amount of security controls within the environment. You're going to have controls within your world. You guys are going to have to choose platforms that have governance and security controls. There is no way around it. You're going to have to tell people you cannot use these other tools to do your job. Okay.
And like you said, you're training them, what to put out there, what the case is.
Within Copilot, it's no different. I mean, how many people are throwing all kinds of sensitive information into Microsoft 365, right? Board reports, HR information. I mean, it's all in there, okay? So ultimately, as long as Copilot and all of the controls, again, are just tied within that environment, it's a closed environment, it's no different than, anything else. It's closed within your environment, and there are a number of enterprise controls that if you've got a CISO or whatever, go through and be like, yep, we have enterprise security on this stuff, it's a closed environment. Okay.
Another interesting use is if you want to dip your toes in and not use provided with any of your information, is RFPs.
Yep.
I have told it I'm looking for this. I just wanted to see what it was ChatGPT, not Copilot, we also have that. But I just wanted to see what it would provide. It gave me all the questions to ask, and then I followed up with questions on my due diligence when I reached out to references. It actually was a great time saver, and it would have taken me hours to put it all together the way I wanted it to look, and it was amazing how very professional, nice it works, succinct, short with the questions.
And before, you use search, and you would go to various web pages and try and find all of that. So, again, spoon, shovel. Let's build off of what she was just talking about. Again, we've talked a lot about prompts. Give it context, give it data sets, give it a role, interview me. The one question at a time really helps. Give it that instruction, it slows things down. And then a task. On this, how many of you have built agents? Anybody? Okay. So marketing, okay? You have to write copy, right? You know, maybe you're doing an email nurturing campaign, okay? So you can build an agent, you can give it, you know, brand guide, you can give it examples of previous communications, you can give it a framework like VBAV for writing copy, values, beliefs, ask, I forget what the other thing is, right? Here's the framework I like to follow. And then train the agent, give it a name. You're my email nurturing copywriter agent. And now I just give it, hey, we got this campaign coming up. Tell it that. It already has all of the training and it just produces the copy for you. You modify and edit it. So you don't have to go through prompting every single time to get the same outcome. You've got a trained agent to do it. On the RFPs, right? I'm an IT and cybersecurity provider. I get a lot of your RFPs. Okay, so I have an agent that has a bunch of my RFPs I've responded to in the past. Source documents, our coverages, our exclusions, our master services agreement, our pricing estimator, all of those things, or its data sets. New RFP comes in, I grab the RFP, I tell the agent, draft me an RFP that responds to yours using all of my historical information. 30 seconds later, I have an 80% completed document. I modify it, I make it better. RFPs used to take me 9, 10, 12 hours. Now it takes me an hour. That's a big return on improvement. Do I like doing RFP responses? No, I do not. But it saves everyone time. And now, if we can take that time during the RFP process, we can meet. And I can learn a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish and why. And I can share more about how we do it and create human connection through that versus what is a very cold, terrible process, writing RFPs and responding to them. But if I freed everybody up, that's a much better experience for everybody involved.
Even with interviews and trying to, you know, put in initially what questions, sometimes it's a unique position, and feeding in the responses of what follow-up questions, and even entering some of their personality test results
Yep.
for follow-up questions.
Yep.
So,
Very helpful. Okay, does that help understand what an agent is? Let's move on. I got that in there twice. So this is something a little more complicated, but I think it's very important for you guys to understand. We just said agents can do various types of tasks like create an RFP, respond to an RFP or create an RFP. So if I created that agent, but maybe there's other people in the organization that could use that agent, because I'm not the only one that creates RFPs. So now I can share that agent to them so that they have it when they have to create an RFP or respond to an RFP. So in the world of Copilot, you know, just think of yourself again like a user. You're looking at a desktop, you're looking at apps, okay? And then you've got all these agents that help you be more productive, okay? That is going, if you want to go next level, to really customize and train agents through what's called Copilot Studio. And then there's this whole back office world that helps you build these agents so that you don't have to be a programmer, but you can just do it through discussion. Okay. And then remember what I was saying earlier, now there's all these other software vendors that you work with that also is helping you do what? Business productivity. Okay, we don't do accounting by hand anymore. We do it through software because it makes us more productive. So all of these folks are out creating AI agents as well that will do certain functions to make it easier and better for you. So that you don't have to invent the agent, it's done for you. Tying all that stuff together, your stuff that's custom and unique to you, plus all of the out-of-the-box stuff agents, this is what's happening, and and it's going to happen very rapidly over the next couple of years. Ultimately, we like making improvements. We like making improvements on the improvements. AI, generative AI and AI agents are just a new shovel. And both you can build it and your software company's gonna build it. Questions on any of that? I don't really want to get any more deep into.
Can you go back to the last slide really quick?
Yes.
I think, was this the same as the one before? No, it wasn't. Okay.
Same copy, just, that was a Conor screw up.
Oh, okay.
Two slides.
Never mind. Different.
Different fonts too, you can see how this is where the marketing
The
department.
AI.
And go back to the, right? My marketing manager created this, right? And made it look nice, and then this morning I was like, I should throw this in. Way to work autonomously, Connor. Yeah, and this one I copied off the internet, right? So it's all pixelated and crappy looking. Way to go, Connor.
Is your slide deck will be there?
Yeah, marketing. Want to go deeper. So here's the bonus download. You can scan that with your QR. 7 AI expectation leadership set. 3 generative AI priorities for 2025. And then 11 things great executives are doing differently in 2025. And they don't have anything to do with tech. How are we doing on time? Okay, got you there. Okay. Give people just another second here.
You bet.
Ultimately, again, I'm the CEO, president of First Call. Chris Sellers is our Chief Information Security Officer, Steve McCullen, our CIO. We work primarily with smaller credit unions, IT, cybersecurity, AI, and I like to think we help you guys compete with the big folks. So any other questions or comments, we'll call it a wrap. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Conor.
I'll close with one other thing, which is that question, right? Who are you ultimately accountable to? Okay? And I think if you keep that in your heart and your mind as you dive into this, you'll use AI for good. Thanks, John.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. One more session, our closing session will be in the talk room over there shortly. No violence. So sorry.
Yes, so you like, we have like these are the ones that I want behind.
Right.
He's gonna be on India. For me. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think like we have that discussion. All of this stuff. Oh yeah. You know, how do you get proposals? What's that for? I'm just recording it on my phone. Oh. And then I'll upload it. Act as a speech coach. Can't word it in the Africa. Okay. Yeah. Great. Great program. I think they use it. Thanks for sharing this. Great. Thank you so much.
Next time,
All right. Well, I think, there's definitely.
That was the whole point of having this topic. We found the value in our small organization. Shit, we can take things in 10 minutes, 25 minutes. Just learn how to use the basics. Daily challenge without this overwhelming cloud of AI. You can't afford it. Right. Yep.
That is super important. Yeah. It's awesome.
Well,
You know, I just
I love that, yeah. That's where I come from.
enough people inside an organization that are that people that aren't. They have this like frame of reference. Okay, help me out here.
Don't be afraid,
Right.
just kind of dip your toe in. Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite thing is I use it for my board reports. I speak in bullet points, so I just throw my bullet points in there, it writes my board report for me.
I haven't done that, but my staff does. My staff, and they write most of my stuff anyway.
But, you know, but what used to take me an hour, I can do in literally 5 minutes.
For people that are really verbal communicators,
That's good. I can't write to save my life.
Oh, yeah. I hate writing, and I've got a boss that likes writing, so it's like, okay, I'll take my knowledge, put it here, and spit it out, here you go. We're both happy.
Again, I'm just out here like dumbfounded. It's so much easier.
And those are always good things to have, right? Just let it go. Awesome.
Thank you, Renell, for the opportunity.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much, Connor. Appreciate that you could come here and do it.
Well, I do.
I wouldn't be surprised to see you get a few calls on it.
So, what do you think about that, Connor?
Well, we did get a small consulting gig with
Out of Montauk?
in Minnesota.
Out of Montauk?
Yes.
Love that.
So wanted to share
Mark,
that.
that was Mark that was here, he was from.
Good.
And so we're working with Bob, the CEO, and Christopher, the CTO, and trying to get a shared vision for what it is that they're trying to do. And so far that's been really good. They've both been very open to it. And then
Organizationally, they've got, it's an interesting credit union because Bob's a new CEO, he's been there over 2 years, maybe not even, and the former CEO never met a platform he didn't like.
Right.
So they have rules
Right.
of different software for this, that, it's like, holy crap, they spend a lot of money.
They spend a lot of money and they have some great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But
But they've
there's
got really
definitely a-
great
there's-
stuff
there's
for
definitely
somebody
a bit
twice as big.
of initiative overload.
Yeah.
You know, there. But they've both been really good to work with and we'll
Good.
see, I think within like 3 months, we'll know, is there an opportunity to become, like part of their team, to be all remotely, all cybersecurity. So
That's
see
good.
where it goes.
That's good.
Well, Chris has been begging you to
Right.
do some stuff in Minnesota.
Right.
So hopefully, yeah,
So.
because that's just a
I-
branch off of us.
I will
right?
report back to you guys.
Please do.
And then,
Yeah.
if it's going that way, I'd like to get a similar kind of situation set up.
Sure.
With, that we have there,
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
And it'll be different because we don't have the physical presence, but the cybersecurity aspect of it does not require it.
People are getting much more comfortable with
Mhm.
the not physical.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Awesome, Connor. Love that. Great. Okay.
And this also forced me to create, another AI presentation,
Yeah.
which is always good for me.
And I appreciate that.